Action comedies that jump onto streaming are a dime a dozen. Netflix has one pretty much every Friday, Amazon a few. But what makes a good action comedy worthwhile watching, rather than being one of those that you watch and kind of fly over your head, not because you don't understand them, but because they are so uninteresting, they so play by the numbers that you go, and you forget them instantly. Is Jackpot one of them? When you see it, let me know in the comments below, but for now, this is my non-spoiler review. Let's jump in. In the near future, a grand lottery has been newly established in California. The catch? Kill the winner before sundown to legally claim their multi-billion-dollar jackpot. When I read the synopsis for this film, I was like, okay, I'm in. I love the idea of this. I was hoping that it was still going to be good, but I don't mind the Purge films. Even though I think they're not great films, I enjoy them for what they are. And those films know what they are. They don't kind of venture outside of the area. You know, basically you're going to have a bunch of weird kills in a city that's kind of closed down in a sort of realistic what-if future. And I do believe that there could be one day some state in America that would bring something like this. One of the 50 states in America would say, okay, we need something to build up the economy. Let's just legalize killing for 24 hours and they have to get the jackpot. You know, humans have loved Bloodsport for a long time and have participated in them for a long time. Now we don't get that so much unless you're watching underground matches or UFC or full contact martial arts. But we're still in it somewhat. So it's not so far-fetched to take that element of The Purge and then put it into a comedy action movie. And we have a director here who has directed interesting movies. So Paul Feig, I think that's how you pronounce his name, Feig. Paul directed previous films like Netflix's School for Good and Evil. I didn't think that was great at all. I thought that was pretty pants. But he's done Bridesmaids, Spy, The Heat, 2016's Ghostbusters. So he definitely has a type. There are some of those that I mentioned that are just shockingly bad in my opinion, and some that are okay. I think this is the best of the bunch that he's done. I think this movie actually set out what it was trying to do, and that's mostly because of our two main protagonists, where we have John Cena. Whether you can see him on screen at all, I don't know. And Awkwafina. Now, I've heard the rumors or the grumblings about Awkwafina being in everything. Jude Law was that kind of person for a while. He was in everything. Movies, TV series. I think The Rock kind of outdid himself when he was in everything, and you saturate a person because they're doing well. Suddenly they're in everything, and you see their acting skill, their acting tree, and they become this person that you can only see as those particular actors in as themselves. So, you know, when I watch a movie as The Rock, I don't often hate the movie that he's in, but I often just see The Rock, as that personality type. No matter what name or thing he's meant to be, I see him as himself, unless it's a few far in between kind of golden movies that he's managed to stand out in. Unfortunately, he has become so far in the stratosphere of the rockness that he is, you see him. And so the reason why I'm talking so much about The Rock is that I feel that has become somewhat of Awkwafina and John Cena, and that sort of rhymes. So when I saw these two coming together, I was like, okay, I like them each as actors in certain performances, but will they be good together on screen? So Awkwafina has done loads of great voice work, but she's also done some fantastic comedies. Recently I watched, I think it was the Hulu original Quiz Lady. That film was really funny, great with dry, witty humor, but also had a lot of heart in it. And so I was like, okay, so if she can tap into that, if the scripting is good enough for her, then maybe half of the side of what she's carrying, because she is half the movie, half the protagonist that's carrying this film. And then we have John Cena, whose character in this film is a very well-trained mercenary that has stepped out on his own because of something that has happened in the previous. And his job is to protect the people who win lottery. And so we get a sort of buddy cop. In essence, it's that sort of formula, a survival comedy action, and you can see John Cena in that, and he carries that persona with dryness of comedy and timing very well. Him as Peacemaker, I think he's fantastic. He found such a great character that works perfectly, but that's also because the scripting was great, the dialogue was excellent, and so I was wondering what we were getting here. This film reminds me of some of those like late 90s, 2000 films, Rush Hour, that sort of dialogue, slapstick dialogue moments with amazing choreography, Rush Hour particularly. Now don't get me wrong, this is no Jackie Chan film, but there's a lot of great choreography in this, in close quarters combat fighting that is mixed up with really fun dialogue, so that when you have the fighting sequences that are chaotic, frenzied, but fun, and people are being flipped everywhere, and we have Awkwafina's character, who is playing an actress has been outside of the city for a while. She comes into a place like a fish out of water sort of character, finds herself as a winner, and then in a place where she is able to take some of her skills as an actor, where she's done fight school. But that in itself is funny, because fight school teaches you to be more of a stunt person rather than actually handle yourself in a fight. So where her punches fall short, her kicks fall flat or don't quite reach, or where she's able to maneuver and roll out of the way while John Cena is taking everybody down, that works so well in tangent with the dialogue that is really kind of neat and fun, quite tight. So as a runtime film, I think it's slightly too long, but the pacing for the most part is really good because of that dialogue and those chaotic, frenzied action choreographed scenes that are a lot of fun. For me, that is when this film hits the crescendo, the height of it. When it slows down and it tries to get into giving us some sort of background or reason why to care about the characters. The beginning for me was particularly slow to get into, but that's when they're establishing what this thing is. So that was okay. There's a lull somewhat in the middle that I think it hurts the film a little, but it ends pretty much on a high and how you expect it to be. This isn't going to rewrite comedy action hero films, but it isn't the bottom of the barrel. I was surprised. This was actually a fairly fun watch, and I'll definitely watch it again. I wouldn't have gone to the cinema to watch it, but I might own it on Blu-ray in the future. So I'm going to give this a solid 3.5 Nicolas Cages out of 5.
And you got one.
I enjoyed this a lot. I think a lot of critics will decimate this film and say that it didn't have the great formula, and some of the acting was bad and some of the dialogue wasn't great. I think there was enough heart in here for me to care about our two main protagonists, to want them to win and survive the day, and enough twists somewhat that it was fun to watch and kind of guess, even though you know what's happening beat for beat. It was great to see Simu Liu and Awkwafina on screen again. I don't think I've seen them together on screen again since Shang-Chi. Even though Simu Liu's character is very generic, and I think that's the weakest part of this film, is the bad guys and the bad henchmen, woman, man, whoever they are so generic that they're just bad for the sake of being bad. I would have liked something, but it's very hard to take that without having an established lore. Like Thanos was great, but we've been building up on that character for a long time. It's very hard to make a real good bad guy if you don't give time to them. But also in an action comedy that focuses on the main character and their relationship, they would have taken another movie to establish a really good bad guy. So I get it. I understand why, but it does feel like it hurts the film somewhat not to give them actually 5 to 10 minutes of the film and establish them as being the bad guy. Really, the bad guy is the economy and the government having allowed this competition, or kind of garnered this competition into existence, so that people end up becoming killers just for money, just to survive, because the economy has gone so bad. So it's somewhat believable. It is funny, but it might be too real a thing in your mind going, yeah, this is funny, but what if this actually comes to fruition? Answer me this in the comments. Would you participate in a competition like that if that was legal and you could win? Because it's a huge amount. It's something like in billions. Would you hunt the person to win that amount of money? Or would you say, no, that's disgusting. Human can't be killers. But what if it was legal? What would you do? Thanks so much for watching, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.